stays right where Allen wants to go. Wants the baseline. Fade away. Yes. He's way too good. He steps around Lou and drilled it. And the Sixers have scored 9 in a row. 7 straight points by Iverson. Looked like he was dead for one. The Sixers by 4.
And welcome once again to the Sports Skillet Radio Show. We want to thank you for taking time out of your day to spend it with us. We appreciate it as always. You can find us all over our social media accounts. Just do a search for Sports Skillet. And we want to thank the Heat Ratio for hosting us as well. So you want to do a search for the Heat Ratio. Lots of good content. Lots of good shows on the Heat Ratio as well. So you want to check them out as well. Do a search for a Heat Ratio, and you got them right up there. Lots of good programming from hockey shows to baseball shows. Great content on the Heat Ratio as well. So check them out as well as Sports Skillet. Go to sportsskilletradio.com for all the great content, great info. We got great articles from Mike Nebbia. Lots of good content. We got our Twitter feed up there as well for all the latest sports news, show updates. If you want to head over to sportsskilletradio.com and check that out. And like I said, we want to thank you all for taking time out of your day to join us. I am Jay. I am joined this week by Mike Nebbia and Alex Secchia. No Shane so far this week. Hopefully we can get Shane to join us. We want to thank Al Griffin for joining us on our social media. Keep posting, keep giving us info. What do you want us to talk about? Because we will talk about whatever you want us to talk about. That's why we are the Sports Skillet Radio Show. What's up, Al Griffin? We appreciate you taking time out to spend it with us as well.
What's up, Big Al?
Exactly. So, Alex, we're going to talk a lot of Phillies Mets this week, obviously. Alex, we got NFL starting their games this week. We had the Hall of Fame game kick us off. We had the Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Dallas Cowboys. Are you excited about the game starting up in the NFL, Alex?
Yeah, it's football season. It's
exactly.
Football season. Absolutely.
Exactly. We also had a Buffalo Bills quarterback get his contract extended this week.
$258 million.
Exactly. You think that's a good deal for Buffalo to re-sign their starting quarterback?
I think it's a good deal, but at the same time, it's always risky when you make these long-term bets on somebody after a good year, because what happens if he gets hurt? You're banking a lot on there. I'm more of the guy to save money and spend it on all positions than guaranteeing one player a max contract, because now you kill your funds for other positional players. I believe in. I mean, look at New England. The system worked like that for them for years. In that system for the past 20 years, what players getting max contracts that ate up their budget cap? Every other team's getting max deals. The Chiefs, yeah, it could work because everyone was fine with Patrick Mahomes getting what he got. But everywhere else, the Lions, when they dumped the money into Stafford, the Packers were trying to do it with Rodgers. Well, they reached a deal, but everywhere else it doesn't work. So, I mean, yeah, it's cool. He's worth it. He's a good quarterback, a really good quarterback, but I'm just not for all those big deals on one guy. They kill your other positions.
And I smell an article on max contracts and the problem with them coming on.
Exactly. And the result of this, or a consequence of giving out this max contract, bleeds over to the Baltimore Ravens and perhaps the Cleveland Browns, because it looks like their quarterbacks will be the next in line. And do you think they're going to deserve a $40 million contract for their two quarterbacks?
I don't think any of them do at this point. I think it's a matter of Lamar Jackson was trusted to do what he does best with the ball in his hands, and that's use his legs. As far as that, they're not coaching his ability to throw the ball and make accurate plays. They're not coaching that aspect around him.
Yeah.
If they do that, he could be more of a complete quarterback. As far as Baker Mayfield, the Browns are. I don't care how good their position are or their teams are. You can look good on paper all day long and still lose. Look at the Miami Dolphins. Look when the Dolphins had a perfect season. They had scrubs. They had nobodies. They were the most doubted team in the league that year, and they went undefeated. So the Browns are only going to be as consistent as Baker Mayfield is. The way I look at it is Baker Mayfield needs to lock in a little more things, and he needs to get comfortable getting the ball to everybody instead of locking in with one target. He's really comfortable with Nick Chubb. When you see Nick Chubb not in the game, you see how that goes with him. I don't know. To me, he's not there yet. He's not clicking on all four cylinders yet.
I agree with you about Baker. I don't think he's a $40 million quarterback, but it's like when you have the bar being set at $40 million, all of a sudden now you're going to have Lamar. Like I said, Lamar Jackson wanting $40 million, Baker Mayfield wanting $40 million because they're going to be like the next two guys up to get their contract renewed. And Lamar Jackson has done, more on his resume, I guess you could say, than obviously Baker Mayfield does.
Oh yeah,
but
you got the number one ranked MVP player. He got league MVP, right? He got league MVP that year. He got ranked number one. But at the same time, you got to look what he did after that. After that, they went 7-9.
Yep.
And he kind of went downhill
but he has won a playoff game. He has that on his resume now. Game. So it's like all of a sudden, if you're the Baltimore Ravens, your salary cap is getting out of whack. Because
that's an interesting point. But at the same time, are you going to put yourself in a position? Okay, you did this in the past. I'm going to pay you for what you did and hope you could do it again. Because you can't guarantee that again.
And again, this leads us back to the Philadelphia Eagles and their pursuit of a quarterback who's already signed to a long-term deal.
They got to get him.
You were saying they got to get him, despite all his lawsuits that are that are filed against him, of course. But again, we saw. Do you think some of the things the Eagles have done recently? They've restructured a couple of contracts to create more room under the salary cap, which was a little curious because you're normally not seeing a lot of contracts getting restructured this time of year. Normally, it's more closer to the trading deadline, something like that. You're not seeing a lot of contracts getting restructured. Right. Teams aren't creating that salary cap space at this time a year. And the Eagles did that. They restructured a couple of contracts to get more salary room. Now, of course, you had the Carson Wentz issue, him getting hurt. And now it looks like maybe the Eagles are not going to get that first-round draft pick. That they're going to have the 2 first-rounders and maybe a second. Could that be holding up the trade, do you think?
I mean, it could, but at the same time, the Texans are asking for a lot. So you got 2 first-rounders still, right? You're banking on the quarterback. So it doesn't matter. You can keep Jalen Hurts. The Texans can use a first-round to draft a quarterback. Then you got another first-round pick to get another positional player. But the Texans are also asking for 2 positional guys. So you can go ahead and throw Travis Fulgham. No, I wouldn't do that. Because he needs a weapon to throw to. I would throw a defensive player and an offensive player. And you can get Deshaun. But you can keep Hurts. Or you can throw Jalen Hurts and you have to worry about the quarterback. But you want to back up Deshaun.
Now, Mike, would you put Deshaun in the trade for or would you put Jalen Hurts in the trade for Deshaun Jackson?
You mean Deshaun Watson?
What was that?
Don't you mean Deshaun Watson?
Yeah, I was saying, would you put Jalen Hurts in the trade for Deshaun Watson? And would you get rid of him, or would you want to keep Deshaun? Would you want to keep Jalen Hurts, as a backup to Deshaun Watson?
I'd keep Jalen Hurts, to be brutally honest with you.
Because the Eagles do have, a backup quarterback already on their roster.
I would send Hurts.
Joe Flacco, because they signed him to I believe it was a 1-year deal. So they have Joe Flacco.
If you send Jalen Hurts, what happens with this is they save all right. So look, 2 first-rounders, Jalen Hurts, and defensive player. I now filled your needs for positional players and draft picks. Now I filled your needs with positional players without giving up weapons for Deshaun.
There you go.
And without sacrificing too much of my defense.
And you still have Joe Flacco as your backup. That
exactly.
He could if Deshaun Watson is suspended for a few games this year, you can put Joe Flacco in and have Joe Flacco take over those couple of games, be quarterback. If it's 5 games or whatever, you put Flacco in there and you roll with Flacco. Now Joe Flacco isn't what he was years ago, but he's still a quarterback that can
a veteran quarterback,
a veteran quarterback that can win you some games. So he could step in there for 3, 4, 5 games, whatever it is, and at least keep you competitive. You don't know how many games he would win, but at least he could keep you competitive. And then, after that, you roll back with Deshaun Watson. The blowback with Deshaun Watson obviously is what type of person is he? Would the fan base go out and buy Deshaun Watson jerseys?
Well, look what they did.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Sorry for cutting you off. That's a good question. But think about Deshaun Jackson. His first game off of the Eagles, when he came back to Philly, he disrespected the Eagles fan base and the Eagles on their field. They took him back.
Yeah, and a lot of people bring up Michael Vick as well, because the Eagles went out and signed Michael Vick. There was initially the protests and stuff like that down at the link. People didn't like, and still some people still have that grudge against Michael Vick for what he did. They'll never forgive him, and that's certainly their right. But you have other people forgiving Michael Vick because Michael Vick has atoned, has done his time for what he did to the dogs and everything. And you do see some Michael Vick jerseys around, so
and that's that being proven. Deshaun's situation isn't proven. Listen,
exactly.
we've addressed this before. This number's got as high as 40 people. You mean to tell me 40 people can go file a lawsuit, but not one person has the strength to come up front about it? But one person talked to a reporter behind closed doors, and if you read the story, she was, according to her, she was assaulted by Deshaun previously. Then he came into her place of work and didn't know he was there until she walked in the room and he was there one-on-one. But continue to work on him. I'm sorry. If an all-star athlete walks into any public business, it's not a coincidence that this lawyer's attorney is the manager of the Texans' neighbor. Come on. While Deshaun and this guy's had no blemishes on his college career. No blemishes, ever. No blemishes for the first few years in the NFL, up until the point he wants to leave the team after signing a max contract. Come on, that's not a coincidence. So the same way everyone can go, oh, Deshaun's trying to save face, the same way I can flip the script and be like, oh, this isn't a coincidence to you. The hero of the city, the hero of the team who signed the max deal is getting sued by the manager's neighbor after saying he wants to leave the team, and all of a sudden all these things piled up.
I'm telling you, yep.
That's not a coincidence, anybody. This guy's first game check was donated to the lunch lady staff. Like, come on. I mean, granted, like I get it. It takes one bad thing. It takes one bad thing for everyone to forget the good you've done. I get that. But what does it mean when he's trying to keep? Here's my thing. When Brady did his thing, everyone got mad. He was trying to keep it private. Everyone got real mad.
And you look at Brent Roethlisberger too. He's had some issues against him over his career. Over his career as well.
But But with Deshaun, he's trying. I get it. But here's my problem: if there's an army of you guys just filing cases left and right, which has been reported, you mean to tell me you're brave enough to file a case against this guy and make heavy, heavy accusations, take him to civil court, not even a grand jury, civil court. That's where, like, Jay, that's like if I screwed you over in a business deal. That's where you're taking me, civil court. You're just going to take him there, but not one person can really speak out. Everyone's hiding. Why?
Yep.
The one
Exactly.
person. There's
Yep.
so many. Listen, if there was like 3 people that reported, I'm like, okay, I get it. That's a lot. But when there's the amounts have been reported, not one person.
Now, yep. And just to switch, just to switch gears a little bit, Alex. Eagles wide receiver Devontae Smith ended up getting hurt. He's now week to week. Do you think this will be a problem for Devontae going forward? The fact that he got hurt in practice. He's not as big as your normal wide receivers. Doesn't weigh as much, 100-something pounds. So, do you think this could be a problem for the Eagles? That was one of the criticisms of him as the Eagles drafted him. Do you think this could be a problem going forward?
Yeah, it was definitely a huge criticism. I've seen a lot of jokes and a lot of things said, obviously, just through social media. But no, it's definitely a big thing. It's a first-round draft pick. So here's my problem. He's getting hurt already. So if you don't allow him to I equate everything back to RG3. He was supposed to be really good. And when he got hurt, he dictated when he came back, and he rushed himself back, and it forever spiraled down that case of injuries. With Devontae, he needs – I would honestly – you got nothing to win. You have everything to lose and like nothing to win by trying to prove yourself you can play on the sprain. I won't even say week to week. Make him miss practices. Honestly, let him miss practices.
Yeah.
Keep him healthy. Dude has a sprained knee, a sprained ankle. Is it a sprained ankle or sprained knee? What was the exact injury again?
It's about a sprained knee.
So here's my problem. It's already sprained.
Yeah.
Oh, and Jay, I sent you my latest article.
Awesome. We will get that posted on sportskilletradio.com.
He does not need any added pressure onto that knee before a preseason game starts. Let this dude start missing. Make sure he's healthy enough for the regular season. This guy's learning the playbook.
Yep.
By the regular season, he'll learn the playbook, especially staying at home. As long as he stays in physical shape, doing other workouts around the body, he'll be fine for game time. I get it. He's going to need to practice and stuff, but you don't want a Jalen Reagor situation. Reagor missed, 5 games last year?
Yeah.
And that's your first-round draft pick. You can't risk this again, especially this is supposed to be your top dog.
Exactly.
You can't. Go ahead.
What do you think, Mike? Do you think this could be an issue for him going forward?
Oh, yeah. This could be a big-time issue for him going forward. And looking at the Eagles' staff right now, they need weapons in the event that Devontae Smith loses a significant portion of the season to this injury. Jalen Hurts needs weapons. That was the problem with Deshaun Watson in Houston. He had weapons, they traded him all away. Eagles have weapons, now they're getting injured. So if you're going to go out and get Deshaun Watson, you need to have the weapons around him. The Eagles have them, they just keep getting injured.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Mike. It's definitely something you have to monitor going forward because he didn't get hurt in college at all. But now you're up in the game. You're going into the NFL. This is more intense. The hits are harder. You're going against somewhat larger players than you did in college. Yes, the college guys transition over to the NFL, but the hits are harder. And you have to protect yourself. And the person I would equate him with, I think, Alex, is Deshaun Jackson. Because you look at Deshaun Jackson, he's a smaller wide receiver, kind of has speed like Devontae Smith is supposed to. And you got to protect yourself if you're Devontae. You can't take the amount of hits because your body's just going to wear out. It's just going to get abused, and you're not going to have that long career. He has to kind of protect himself a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And it's always worrisome when you see it happen this early. Just got drafted. So you better
Yep.
hope he doesn't sustain any hits in his knee. I think he'll be okay, to be honest with you. I think he'll be okay. I don't like to look at injuries in the moment someone gets hurt unless it's a serious one, like a concussion. If you took a concussion, it's a different story because you get one, you're ready to you're
Yeah.
lined up to get several more just like that. It's just going to be a reoccurring problem. Tore the
I agree.
ACL, all right, I'll be scared. But it's a sprained knee. He'll be fine.
Yeah.
I don't like looking at some injuries. And I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a problem down the line because I don't like doing that because it adds unnecessary pressure. When topics like that get created, the players are it's gonna come back to them. They're gonna hear about it. And then it gets put in their mind and all that stuff. I don't really like looking at all that stuff because some injuries are fine. I've had a sprained knee before. You'd be fine. You get up and you'd be back. You'll be
Yeah.
back by the regular season.
Oh yeah.
But when you listen to like week to week, it's what these teams do. You got to keep these guys off edge, like we talked about last week. But I mean, there's no reason to keep any teams off edge. You're still practicing, but um, yeah, I think he'll be fine. I don't think this would be a big problem unless this dude goes out and breaks his leg. Like then you're talking about regular problems, reoccurring problems. But a sprained knee, he'll be fine.
Yeah, I think so. The Eagles just are going to have to manage it. I was just bringing it up as something that, if he's getting hurt now, does that mean he'll get hurt, during the course of the regular season? Because the Eagles, if they're going to do anything, if they're going to be a decent team this year, are going to need him in the
Mm-hmm.
lineup, for all 17 games this year.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely. Especially since the fact that, and here's the other thing. This is why I would say you got to go with Deshaun Watson. I get Jalen Hurts is younger and he could prove himself, but when you go up against a team like Washington, you expect
Yeah.
Hurts to beat that defense. You saw
Yeah.
You saw what happened. We already talked about how their offensive line isn't the strongest. Deshaun Watson sat behind the worst the worst offensive line in the NFL for 2 consecutive years. He got sacked 68 times in one season.
Yep.
He beat the record for getting
Very true.
sacked, and he still took the team to the playoffs. You want to tell me you're going to throw a second-year quarterback in? A second-year quarterback behind the 25th, 27th ranked offensive line against the best defensive front in the NFL? How's he going to favor? I'm sorry. I'd rather take Deshaun Watson with the experience who's proven it versus Jalen Hurts.
Very good. And any other training camp stories that you were looking at this week, Alex?
I was tuned in with the Seattle Seahawks, watching their rookie camp, watching DK Metcalf work out, how Russell Wilson is playing with them, especially after we seen last season if Russell Wilson even remain a Seahawk or not. So I was tuned in with them a lot, watching them, but they seem fine.
Yeah, they're going to have their work cut out for them this year in the NFC West.
I think that's going to be the hardest division in football.
It could very well be, because you got Jimmy Garoppolo in San Francisco, literally I think fighting for his job. Because you have the up and coming quarterback, the rookie quarterback that's going to be pressing him. That I know San Francisco 49er fans are going to want to see in action. Probably sooner rather than later. And the thing is, if Garoppolo struggles a little bit, loses 2 games in a row, they could be calling for the rookie quarterback out in San Francisco.
And that'll be the biggest mistake the 49ers can make. I think it's the dumbest thing in the world to throw a rookie quarterback in his first year, unless it's like a second half of the game portion and you're resting starters. Other than that, I think it's the dumbest thing any NFL team can do is throw your rookie into the fire.
Yeah,
Garoppolo's a good quarterback. You just got to stay healthy.
Exactly, and I kind of agree with you. I think Garoppolo will give them I know people are going to be clamoring for the rookie quarterback, but I do agree with you. I think Garoppolo gives them the best chance to win. I think it gives the 49ers the best chance to get into the postseason. But like you said, Garoppolo's big bugaboo is not the fact that he doesn't win, because you look at Garoppolo's record when he's healthy, and it's phenomenal. The 49ers win with him. It's just he has to remain, remain healthy and on the field.
And last year, I already talked about this last year. I already look at a lot of the injuries being a lot of the players' fault. You had no OTAs, you had no preseason, and training camps were prolonged. And first of all, who wasn't hurt on that team last year?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Nick Bosa, Sherman,
Yep.
all your receivers. Everyone got hurt last year. You're gonna blame him on the quarterback? Come on now. He took you out to the Super Bowl's first run. Come on.
Exactly.
You know?
Yep. I
But-
mean, and you bring up Sherman. He's still hanging around as a free agent, but we know, what he did recently with his domestic violence charge or whatever.
That was wild.
That was pretty wild. He's still hanging out there as a free agent. Now he's not what he was years ago, which is why he remained unsigned during this off season. Still remains unsigned. I don't know that anybody's going to pick him up at this point.
I think I think someone will pick him up.
Yeah, I think someone.
Think so.
I think someone will pick him up. He's a talented player, and someone's gonna be taking out a flyer on him. Great, young talented player. They'd be crazy enough.
Well, I don't know that he's young anymore, Mike. He's one of those grizzled veterans, but I don't know what his mental state is at this point.
Yeah,
but,
that would turn some teams off from him.
Yeah, I just I would just be worried about bringing him into the locker room. I mean, until everything kind of gets settled and everything kind of simmers down a little bit. But if a team needs a quarterback, he's still a corner. He's still hanging around out there. But nobody's signed him to this point, so I don't know where his skill set is and so forth. But he's still hanging around out there. But he's one of those players with a name that's hanging around. But I will wait until all his legal situation simmers down a little bit, and then check out his mental state. But Mike, as far as the New York Giants goes, how's their training camp going?
It's going well, except for a little bit of a fight that occurred on Tuesday.
Yes. I want to get into that a little bit. Your quarterback was on the bottom of the dog pile, if you will, at the bottom of the skirmish. And that came out, I don't know that I want my starting quarterback to be on the bottom, Mike.
I wouldn't either. And after that fight, Joe Judge took no prisoners. 200-yard lap sprints, push-ups, you name it, he laid the hammer down and forced 3 more retirements.
He did. Joe Judge stopped practice, had him run, had him doing push-ups and everything. But again, I
like this old school style of coaching from Joe Judge.
Yeah, it's interesting. That Joe Judge would do that. I know. Nick Sirianni, the Eagles head coach, kind of did the same thing when when he saw something going wrong in training camp. He put a halt to it and started teaching them on the field again. Went over what they did wrong. But Alex, what did you think about the Giants quarterback being on the bottom of that skirmish?
Dude got balls. I think I like seeing that type of stuff sometimes. That's a quarterback. Usually they're soft ones. When you see them not afraid to get hurt, that's how you know you have a dog as a quarterback, as a leader.
Very
lead by
true.
charge.
Very true. But on the bottom of that, I don't know that I'd want my quarterback risking getting hurt though.
Yeah, true. But at the same time, I don't know. It's weird. I'm not always so worried about. Everyone's always like, I don't want him to get hurt. I don't want to get. It's the name of the game. It's football. I mean, granted, it's a lot watered down than what it used to be. But these guys usually get think about it. They used to get smacked around and still play.
So, yeah.
But I mean, he knows what he's doing. I feel like you're not that stupid to put yourself in a position to get hurt if you know you can't take it.
True.
But you never know what can happen. I don't know. It's weird. It's a trade-off with me. I'd rather see you like Andrew Luck was ruthless with it, but then that's why he retired. So it's a trade-off. I like seeing when quarterbacks are fearless. I don't like seeing them shy away. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
So I'm going to come from a biased standpoint, honestly.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm going to come from the standpoint of I want my quarterback remaining upright. I would have somebody kind of, even if he was kind of diving in there, I would be, if I was like an offensive lineman or defensive lineman or whatever, tight end, I'd be one of those bigger guys that would kind of pull him away and say, we appreciate, kind of like, all right, we, kind of hold them back a little bit,
Yeah.
let us take care of it, and everything. You stay on. You're wearing the red jersey. You hang back. And everything. But it's interesting that the whole team erupted into a fight. Usually, it's like one or two or maybe three guys, something like that. Because you do get training camp fights. Because you do have guys that are trying desperately to make the roster, bubble guys, late round draft picks, guys that are really trying hard to make the roster, going up against guys that know that they have a roster spot kind of guaranteed. So, yeah, you have these different layers of where guys are on making the team. So you do have passionate guys when they put on the pads and start tackling. You do have guys that are very passionate, trying to make an impression on the coaching staff, and that's what leads to some of these fights. In training camp. So they're nothing new, but to have the whole team go out there and erupt into a fight, that's something that's a little out of the ordinary, a little out of normal for a training camp. But I do like the passion, Mike, that the Giants showed. All guys getting into it, all guys, being passionate, and Joe Judge handled it the way he deemed fit. Calling it into practice, having them do sprints, having them do push-ups and everything. Do you think that's a good penalty, Alex, or do you think you should have just shut everything down and sent them to the locker room?
Nah, don't shut it down. You got to do what he did. Put him through the ringer.
Yep, I agree. Totally. I think it was a good way to send a message too. So, I think that was good on the part of Joe Judge. So, Mike, turning actually wrapping up the football talk a little bit. I want to say rest in peace to Jimmy Bowden, the college football coach who passed away. We're seeing that pop up on social media. The former college football coach ends up passing away. So our thoughts, prayers, and condolences to Bowden and his family and friends. Anything you want to say to that, guys, or other than rest in peace to Jimmy Bowden?
Yeah, no. Yeah, it was a sad thing. I reposted one of my things with my buddy. But yeah, definitely rest in peace to him.
Yep, absolutely. And turning over to the MLB, Mike, we have a big series that's been also. The Phillies will be honoring Roy Halladay today before the Phillies-Mets game down at Citizens Bank Park. Roy Halladay, an excellent pitcher for not only the Phillies, but the Toronto Blue Jays as well. They're going to be retiring his number. It's been alumni weekend down at Citizens Bank Park. So you have Manny Trio going up on the Wall of Fame. You had him being honored yesterday. Former Phillies president being honored on Friday evening as well. So it's been a great weekend down at Citizens Bank Park, especially if you're a Phillies fan. Not so much if you're a Mets fan, Mike.
Don't remind me. I'm just hoping the Mets can salvage this third game, stay a half game back of the Phillies heading into the Washington series.
A game and a half.
If they win today, they'll be a half game back heading into the
Almost had it last night.
This is true.
If the Mets had won last night, they would have taken back first place in the East, where they rightfully belong.
They would have, absolutely. And do you think that now the Mets ended up losing in the ninth inning. They couldn't generate, once again, they couldn't generate enough offense, Mike. But do you think that 3-home run outburst maybe starts turning things around for the Mets offensively?
Absolutely. I think so, at least.
Yeah, I think so. That 3 home run outburst, back to back to back home runs. I think that starts turning things around after what's it, 5 straight losses for them, 4 or 5 straight losses
Yeah.
for them. They need that spark. I think that 3 home run outburst will be that spark. I think the Mets take it, and then they end up impeaching the Nationals.
Now they are going up against the
Impeachment
former.
up in filed, Washington.
Now they are going up against the former pitcher Zach Wheeler, who is the Phillies' ace this afternoon, Mike. I would say it's going to be an interesting game down there. Do you think they can take Zach Wheeler? He's been pitching phenomenally, and he's got his name in the Cy Young race this year.
I think they take him. I think they can take him down.
Really, despite their lack of offense, Mike? Because I think that's the biggest issue right now with the Mets is not necessarily their pitching, but it's their lack of offensive output. They've been getting some guys on base. They just haven't been hitting with runners in scoring position.
I think they take down Zach Wheeler. I think they solve the offensive issues. They take down Zach Wheeler. They get to within a half game heading into Washington.
And
now the next stretch after Washington, 13 straight against NL West opponents, including Los Angeles and San Francisco. So that is going to be difficult heading into the latter half of August.
I agree with you. And that's why I think this upcoming series with the Nationals is going to be key to the Mets season, especially if they lose today, because I think the Mets can be good competition for the Nationals. But I do think they're going to have to take 2 out of 3 at the very least against the Nationals. They're going to have to solve their offensive issues because if they lose 2 out of 3 to the Nationals, facing the Giants and the Dodgers for as long as they do, having those back-to-back series with those two teams is going to be a big headache for them. And that's why this upcoming series with the Nationals could be key to their season.
Exactly. They need to at least win this game today and take 2 out of 3 or sweep the Nationals.
I agree. That's why I'm not writing the Mets off, because if they can win today, if they can take 2 out of 3 at the very least against the Nationals, they could get themselves back in possibly back into first place, or at least be competitive, keep themselves in the race for first place. But if they lose today and then they continue to free fall against the Nationals, man, they could dig themselves a hole that I don't know that they could get out of.
It'll be difficult, that's for sure. These next few games will be difficult after the Washington series.
Exactly. Do you think they did enough at the trading deadline, Mike? I know they're waiting to get Lindor back, but do you think
Lindor should be back relatively soon?
I think so. He's starting to move
Lindor
around.
comes back, there's that double play combination of Baez, Lindor, Alonso.
Exactly. And that's what the Mets have been waiting for, is to see that double play combination. Give the Mets a little bit better defensively. Conforto has been one of those guys that's been struggling this year, Mike. Do you think he can start turning things around just a little bit, give the Mets a little bit more offense?
I think he turns it around. The Mets need offensive and defensive push. I think Baez and Lindor turn it around right when they need it most, leading up to DeGrom's return and Syndergaard's return.
And that's the key. The Mets are, and that's what I'm saying. The Mets are not necessarily a bad team. They're a hurt team. They're an injured team. If they start getting some of these guys back, like you said, like Syndergaard, like DeGrom, like Lindor, the Mets could make a push. The question that I have, will they be too far out before they get some of these guys back? Can the offense turn things around just enough to keep themselves in the race? What do you think, Mike?
Lindor is going to be back soon. DeGrom is on his way back. He should be back relatively soon. And Syndergaard.
I heard DeGrom is out until September.
Syndergaard, possibly late August, early September for him, barring any setbacks. So
I heard DeGrom was out until September.
Oh boy. So Syndergaard will probably be back before DeGrom if that's the case. And we're going to be needing Syndergaard.
Oh, absolutely. And Alex, as far as the Yankees go, they are a hot team.
Say that one more time.
As far as the Yankees go, they are a super hot team.
I know. It's surprising. Well, I mean, I feel like the Yankees have a history of being the team to start off whack and then pick it up towards the end, you know. But I don't know. It's weird. I'm not projecting anything. I don't think they're going to go anywhere, really, to be honest with you. I don't think they go far at all.
Do you think I think they could possibly, I mean, as hot as they are right now, with the trades that they made at the deadline, I think they could possibly make a push for at least the wild card.
Yeah, but do you win the wild card? Depending who you verse. It depends who you verse.
True, but you know, I'm looking at the Yankees and they're a hot team. They look like they've come together a little bit. They got their first baseman now from the Chicago Cubs. Thank you, Cubbies.
Yep.
You know, they look like they are a team that's on, you know, that's on the come, that's raising their level of play, and they look like they could really make a good push towards at least making the wild card, if not, you know, being that hot team that goes into the playoffs.
You hope. Don't expect it, but you hope. I'll wait for next year. Start fresh.
You think so? That's what I've been saying about the New York Mets, Mike. You know, the same thing. It's like you look at the Mets, and maybe they don't make the playoffs this year, but you look at what team they could have next year. You know, maybe they don't make the playoffs, because I don't think the wild card is coming out of the NL East. I hate to say it, but to make the playoffs in the NL East, you have to win the division. You're not going to get a wild card. That ship, I think, it's sailed. So if you don't win the division in the NL East, you're not making the playoffs. But I do think the Mets, if they get Syndergaard healthy, if they get DeGrom healthy, those, you know, two good starting pitchers. Maybe McGill is a little bit better next year, getting this experience, Mike. You know, maybe some of the guys get more. I don't know. I don't want to say experience, but they get their feet under them, have a little bit more endurance, I want to say, for next year. And you have Lindor. Maybe you go out into free agency, get a little bit better offense going for you, and now all of a sudden you're one of the best teams in the division, Mike.
Yes, once Syndergaard and DeGrom get healthy, once Lindor comes back, we could be a dangerous team.
Yeah, and I fully believe that too. You know, this could be a blip on the radar screen for Lindor, you know, being hurt, coming to New York, having to deal with all the pressure. He's going to be used to that for next year. So, yeah, maybe you don't make the playoffs this year, but you're rocked and ready to go next year. Similar to what Alex is saying about the Yankees. You know, maybe the Yankees fall a little bit short, but they look towards next year, make a few trades, dabble in free agency a little bit to upgrade the roster even more.
That's right.
And now you're ready to rock for next year, you know.
That's right.
And you just kind of ride this thing out if you're the Yankees and the Mets, and see how far you can get. And you look at the team for next year, and you're stacked and ready to go. You know, but I do think the Yankees could really make a push towards making the playoffs. And as I always say, similar to the NFL and all these other sports, once you're in the playoffs, if you're a hot team, anything can happen. I thought, I saw this years ago with the Colorado Rockies. People were kind of writing them off as the wild card team. The Rockies come in and boom, get hot at the right time and ride that playoff train all the way through. It's just kind of getting hot at the right time, your team gelling, coming together, and anything can happen once you make the playoffs. And that could be the case with the Yankees this year, Alex.
No, it absolutely could.
I know what you're saying about, let's, see what they are for next year and everything. But the Yankees are so, are getting so hot. I'm watching them. All of a sudden, people were writing them off for this year, but they made a couple of trades at the deadline, and they seem to be, getting hot at the right time.
Yeah, I mean, it is the end of the season. That's the time you want to see them pick up. But like I said before, I mean, I've always seen them start off slow and then they work their way up. But the pieces they establish now and what they can acquire later on, and the fact they can start fresh next season, that's what I'm more looking forward to. A whole fresh start next season with the new pieces and even more you can acquire. The problem.
Yep, exactly. So Mike, Phillies are going for their 8th win in a row this afternoon, which will be starting in a little bit. Zach Wheeler on the mound. I know we touched on this just a few minutes ago, Mike. You're saying the Mets could go out and beat Zach Wheeler?
Mets can beat Zach Wheeler. I think the Mets can beat Zach Wheeler.
Now, what gives you the optimism that the Mets are going to win? Because you look at their offense; they haven't been hitting a ton. Zach Wheeler, I want to bring this up too. You look at not only Zach Wheeler, but you look at also the fact that Bryce Harper has been hitting well, and you look at his stats. All of a sudden, Bryce Harper could get himself back into the MVP voting. Right now he's probably on the bottom of the list so far, but he's coming along, hitting some home runs, increasing his power numbers. His RBIs aren't there, but again, you can only get an RBI if you get guys on base. Yep. But, the Phillies could wind up possibly with the Cy Young and the MVP on their team.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think it'll happen.
Do you think they could get one of them?
Or I'll give you one.
And the one would probably...
The MVP goes to Mike Yastrzemski.
I say you get the Cy Young.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. I think if they get one, it would be the Cy Young. And not
I don't think they get either.
What was that?
I don't think they get either. Mike Yastrzemski is going to get the MVP on the San Francisco Giants.
Yeah, he's having a phenomenal season out there. And the Giants right now are the best team, at least in the National League, if not in all of baseball. Yeah. So you look at the San Francisco Giants out there, and you're right about Yastrzemski there. He could wind up with the MVP. Mike, any NASCAR news this week?
Yes, we are at Watkins Glen this week, and this just came out. Chase Elliott will be sent to the rear for inspection issues, and his crew chief, Alan Gustafson, ejected from the track.
Really? Now, why was he ejected?
He got an L1 level 1 penalty for multiple inspection issues. Alan Gustafson ejected, and Chase Elliott docked 10 driver and owner points.
Wow. How big of an issue do you think this will be for Elliott going forward?
This is a track that he's done pretty well at. He's won the last 3 Cup Series races at Watkins Glen, and this might not be much of an issue.
Gotcha. And who are you predicting to come out as the winner of this race in Watkins Glen, Mike?
It's a road course. I got to pick Chase Elliott. I got to pick him. He's the new NASCAR road course ace.
Gotcha. And
more's come out. Gustafson has a $25,000 fine. It was an issue with the rear window air deflector.
Wow. I didn't even know there was a rear window air deflector on these cars. Wow.
And this is
Amazing.
for Bob Pockrass of Fox Sports.
Wow. Amazing. So do you think this would have an issue for him winning the race today?
No, and some more has come out. The 20, Christopher Bell, L1 penalty for pre-race inspection issues. And his crew chief suspended and fined for today's race.
Wow.
Same issue.
Amazing. So how big of an issue, when you get your crew chief suspended, Mike, how big of an issue is this for your team?
It could turn out to be a very big issue. The crew chief has to be a salesman for your driver to help you along in the race. You have to tell him what adjustments your car needs. And he has to sell the crew on the right adjustments at the right time.
So this could be a big issue for those two guys. I think in this race.
Exactly.
Not having
a road course race.
Not having a crew chief there, or having somebody having to step in there that may not be as good or not used to it in that position. So this could be a big issue for those two drivers.
Exactly.
All right. So anything else we haven't touched on, guys? Any other news or anything worthy that we should discuss on this week's issue of Sports Skillet?
Derek Lewis lost by knockout last night, and then we're looking forward to a Roll Spence Manny Pacquiao fight, August 21st. I can't wait.
So who are you predicting in that fight, Alex?
A Roll Spence. I'm a Roll Spence fan. I love Pacquiao. There's no disrespect to Pacquiao, but here's my problem. It's so great. This is why I love it. Pacquiao's a respected GOAT, the best pound per pound. I say that because he's won 8 different weight classes, while Floyd's on 4, but Floyd's undefeated. Cool, but Pacquiao's on 8. So realistically, you give him the pound per pound. He can outclass Spence in all aspects. But Spence is a brawler, and I'm loyal to my fan base. So I'm a Spence fan. I'm rocking with my guy on August 21st.
So you think even though you gave Pacquiao all those compliments, you think he's going to wind up losing this bout?
Yeah, I can see Spence pulling off a decision.
Is it just his style of we lost Alex?
Dang it,
so he could have some connection issues with Alex there, but he was saying that Pacquiao is going to go down. So. We'll discuss more with Alex in the upcoming weeks as that fight gets closer. We do have the NFL beginning their preseason this week, so we'll be checking out the NFL schedule. Big news came out of the WWE this week, just to touch on that, because we cover everything here on the Sports Skillet Radio Show. Big news coming out of the WWE this week that the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, requested his release and got it. So Ric Flair is now on the open market, available for AEW to pick up if they so want him. I'm sure that he has his 90-day no-compete clause, so it may be a little bit before he shows up in AEW, but down the road he can make an appearance there once his no-compete clause is over and done with. So that'll be interesting. I posted this on my social media page that maybe there could be a 4 Horsemen reunion in AEW, because you already have Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard as part of AEW. So maybe the 4 Horsemen make a reunion there. Maybe they form some sort of managerial clique or something like that. You also had Bray Wyatt getting released. If I didn't touch on this last week, the WWE released him. Apparently it was a monetary issue with Bray. Certainly Bray is well respected, not only for his wrestling ability, but also for his character development, his suggestions. the way he kind of reinvented his character time after time after time. Shocking to me that they released Bray Wyatt. Hasn't been on TV in quite a while since WrestleMania, his match with Randy Orton that he lost. So Bray Wyatt, I think, would be a great addition to the Dark Order coming in there because, of course, we all know his protege, if you will, was the leader of the Dark Order before he passed away. So you got Bray Wyatt, I guess, waiting for his no-compete clause to expire. So, yeah, again, the WWE releasing all these talented guys, all these talented wrestlers, maybe because of monetary issues. It's just boggling my mind why they would want to give all these talented wrestlers to available to AEW and get all these eyeballs onto AEW. I don't care if Vince McMahon doesn't think they're competition. Well, they are. Eyeballs will go to AEW, and they will surpass the WWE. If the WWE doesn't get better storylines going, this could be a real issue for the WWE going forward. We'll have to keep our eyes on that. Mike, you said you sent over a news story. Can you tease it a little bit?
Yes, it's the problem with mega deals. I've never been a fan of mega deals, mega contracts in any sport. And in it, I discuss what my problem is and what I feel is becoming an epidemic in sports.
Gotcha. Definitely we'll check that out. We want to hear your replies to Mike's articles as well. Give us your thoughts on the mega deals. Are they good? Are they bad? Of course, in Philadelphia, you have Bryce Harper signed to the mega deal. He's going to be tied to the Phillies for pretty much the rest of his career, you would think. Unless he starts tailing off maybe towards the end of the deal and the Phillies are able to trade him. But, they are tied to each other for pretty much the rest of Harper's career. So what do you guys think of the mega deal? Are they good? Are they bad? We want to hear from you. Head over to sportskillerradio.com. We'll get Mike's article up there. And we want to thank Mike. How can they find you on social media, Mike?
On social media, at Mad Mike Nebbia on Twitter and Instagram.
There you go.
I'm working to get my foot in the door of sports writing.
There you go. So head over to sportskillerradio.com. Check out Mike's articles. Again, we want to hear from you. Just do a search for Sports Skillet. We want to thank you for tuning in this week. We appreciate it each and every week. And we will see everyone again right here next week on the Sports Skillet Radio Show.